All right. Well, it looks like I've been talking to myself for the past 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, I've been talking to myself. So I just finally hit that go live button. So I'm not going to go back and do the intro, and I'm not going to go back and put this back underneath my desk and talk about all the other things. You were saved from a lot of the nonsense that I start off these draw streams with. So you're welcome. You're welcome. I hit the live button a little later than normal, and so let me hit this other button while nobody's here and see if I can't. Bear with me. Bear with me. I beg you. I beg you, beg you, beg you. I don't know how to do this here. Hitting this one button. More buttons. I'm bad at this. Really, really bad at this. Alright, it's just going to have to go. Alright, we're just going to jump right in because who knows? Who knows if I can get as much done as I would like to get done. I'm going to take off these because I don't need to hear myself. I don't need to hear myself. Stay with me. Stay with me, friends. Stay with me. I forgot to pull out my X-Men #1. This is actually signed by Jim Lee. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is something that I splurged on way, way, way back when. And it has some kind of certificate here. Comics Express. But I just need to make sure that I got my guy Magneto squared away. That I'm looking at a good rendition of him. And the weird thing is, if you go back, I'm just going to put him off to the side here. If you go and look at Magneto's costume from way, way back, it's the same costume. So, good on Magneto. Good on whoever designed it. Was that Jack Kirby who designed Magneto's costume? But it survived all the way to the 90s, and I think they just keep going back to it. They don't change it. If they change it, they don't change it by much. So I did do the pencil sketch much earlier, so that we get good composition. I think I spoke about this before. So I'm gonna give it a quick I'm gonna lighten up the pencils so that I don't have to erase so much when I go into the inks, because the owner of this commission asked for the grayscales again. The same customer as the Captain America that I did. So if you have not watched that, go ahead and jump back after this and watch it. And he wanted a similar feel. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to get it close to the previous commission. So I'm going to do some of the inks. Just going to do some of these inks here, and then go into it with the grays, and then go back in. So, okay, I did not intentionally pull out this #2, but I'm going to trust that subconsciously I knew that I needed the #2. So that turned out pretty good. So the parts that you missed when I thought I was going live and I was simply talking to myself, I said that I was trying to hold off on or completely skip X-Men 97 because I did not watch the originals in the 90s. It was just a little past my prime. I was still collecting comics, but I was really not watching much television, and especially not cartoons, especially not Saturday morning cartoons. Not that it was beneath me, but I was probably pushing my early 20s, and I was a bad boy. Bad boy. And I probably needed to sleep off some things. So I did not watch cartoons on the regular on a Saturday morning in the late 90s. So it was not going to be something that I wanted to do on a Saturday morning, or to catch up with this new Marvel, this Disney Plus cartoon stream, the streaming thing for the cartoon, because they were not my X-Men. I mean, they were Jim Lee's X-Men, based on, the designs that were going on at the time. So, but the animation didn't appeal to me. I don't think it looked very good. And looked like they were trying to recapture the bad animation from the 90s. And so for me, I was like, that's going to be a pass. And then I started hearing about how good it was. And the more people were trying to keep themselves from spoiling it, the more I was curious, and the closer it got to the final episode, it became abundantly clear that people were not going to be able to contain themselves, and they were going to spoil it. And I wanted to experience it myself and not be. I wanted to be surprised by how good or bad it was. So, if you are here, I see somebody just came in. I would love it if you said hello and let me know who it is who has joined me. You didn't miss much. You missed me babbling on by myself, thinking that I had turned everything on, but I had not. So you saved yourself. You saved me from the embarrassment by showing up a little bit later. So I appreciate you being here. But like I said, the X-Men 97 was not something that I was going to initially check out. But because of the good buzz, I was curious. Hey, what's going on, David? How you doing? Thanks for jumping in here with me and spending some time with me here. I'm just saying how I was not a fan of the original cartoon and had no plans on watching the Disney Plus streaming, mainly because I don't have Disney Plus. But I have a brother who has Disney Plus, and he's very generous with his password. And I typically don't take him up on these things because, not that it's beneath me, but I just don't have time to watch everything that everybody says is cool. Yeah, Sundays work out best for me. I'm going to try to keep it on Sundays, like a Sunday night stream like this. If that's a good time for you, Dave, it would be cool to have somebody to hang out with as I do some commissions. This is a commission. The same person who asked for the Captain America is the one who asked for this, and I'll probably send him a link to this stream. I felt a little bit pressured last time because I told him that I was going to be doing it, and he showed up to watch, and I felt a little a little intimidated. So you like the current cartoon, or were you a fan originally? I'm curious. I guess at a certain age, if you were a certain age back then, it would have been your jam. But I was just a little bit too old. It was not in my normal entertainment cycle. At that point, I was before I was a believer, so I was doing naughty things, and so I was probably sleeping some stuff off, trying to get into trouble, unfortunately. So I did not have any kind of nostalgic feelings when they announced the cartoon. Yeah. So you do like both the cartoons. Yeah. So I was very pleasantly surprised. I'm not all the way through with them yet. I just started it this week because it seemed pretty clear to me that the people who were trying to keep themselves from spoiling it were going to burst, and they were going to start spoiling the storylines. And so I said, you know what, I'm sold. I jumped in, and I couldn't be happier. It was pretty good. It was darker than I thought it was going to be, and there was some warning about that. Some of the reviews that people were talking about warned that it was going to be darker, and so I guess maybe I was ready for that. I still wouldn't share it with my kids, probably. My youngest is 16, so, like, typically it's not a big deal for most people to share it with their 16-year-old, but my kids can discover some of this stuff when they're older. Oh yeah, me too. I was a Jim Lee. Jim Lee was my absolute favorite. McFarlane, I don't know if you've ever watched any of my live streams, but McFarlane got me to collect comics because of his Spidey stuff. But while I was waiting for the next fix from McFarlane, I had some money burning a hole in my young pockets, and I found Jim Lee's X-Men, and he's really the one who inspired me to draw. McFarlane was like otherworldly as far as I was concerned. I did try to copy his stuff, but it didn't. His anatomy was just didn't need to be in the real world to really be eye-catching. So I was just like, okay, Todd McFarlane is this incredible artist that I will never be able to emulate. But then along comes Jim Lee, and his was just like super heroic, but believable in whatever mix that was in my brain. It just made sense, and so I was instantly drawn to drawing comics because of Jim Lee's artwork. Let's see what he said here. It is a dark series, yeah. So there was a couple of scenes there in the mansion. I was like, whoa, like, is it getting? This is like taking a demonic turn or whatever. But it was Sinister and whoever else. So it was like, and they, as long as they still talk about the demonic stuff as an evil thing, and not start to glorify that stuff, even though Storm, when she conjures up the weather stuff, sounds a lot like an incantation or whatever the spell casting stuff is. So, but all that stuff, I mean, even, her storyline, her and Forge's storyline were probably, I don't know, kind of a throwaway thing for me. It was kind of interesting because I did used to like Forge a lot. I guess I never realized he was a Native American, but they've leaned hard into that. So I really like Jubilee. I like their depiction of Jubilee. I like Gambit. There was so much to like about this series. It was really cool. Oh yeah. The Spider-Man covers top and front were top notch. Jim Lee was like John Byrne. Yep. So that was the cool thing about when, there was no internet. So these guys, you would find out in Wizard Magazine who their influences are and stuff. But like there wasn't like endless talking head videos on YouTube where you could see some of your favorite artists talking about their influences. So when I found out that Jim Lee's influence was John Byrne, I started picking up Next Men. I started looking at old Supermans that John Byrne did. And not that I became a huge John Byrne fan, but you could totally see how heavily influenced Jim Lee was by John Byrne, and in all the best ways. So what I'm doing here is just kind of laying out some of the outlines so that I can go in with the markers. And then once I go in with the markers and get the shadows into the right places, then I'll go back and re-ink some of the details in Magneto's suit here. Let me see which. So that's going to be this. And so we'll end that there. So you can go boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. Yeah. That's a thing, that's a thing, that's a thing. There we go. I'm glad that worked out. Doesn't always work out. Get the costume design right. With Storm, she's coming from ancient Africa, Orisha, Yoruba, similar to. Let me see if I can see. Like YouTube has the little heart in the corner there, and it just covers up that very bottom corner. So whatever that GR. Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with some of Storm's, where she gets her power, where she gets the weather power and stuff. And, to me, it was always just mutant stuff. And that's how they explained away everything. But to hear her, like, call on the weather and that kind of stuff sounded witchy to me, warlocky, Wiccan-ish. So that was like that's kind of spooky. Didn't care for that. And I like Storm. So it was not like I don't know if that's something different that they started to kind of parse out in the comic, or if it's just in the cartoon that way. But Orish goes back to Ethiopian religions, gotcha. Greek pantheon ideologies. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, it just felt like she was casting spells. And so I was just like, yuck. But, those are the characters. And her storyline with Forge was it definitely took a weird path with the owl and stuff. But yeah, overall, the cartoon was very enjoyable. I look forward to, picking back up where I left off. I was going to try to finish it off today, because I know that in this next week or two, all the spoilery stuff will be talked about. And I get it. It is what it is. YouTubers got a YouTube. But I want to catch it before it gets spoiled. Let's see if I can. This will be the back part of that glove or that design element. That can be that. This connects to here. So David, are you an artist? Are you creating your own thing? I don't remember a lot of. I have two things. I'm getting old. People say I don't look old, but I'm almost 50. I'm like 49 and a half. My memory is not what it used to be. It's great if we interact like often. It'd be great. And then but I'll forget. Like if we stop interacting for a little while, I'm like, was that Dave? That whatever, or was that another person? But yeah. Let's go back to the 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. But I understand. My buddy is an ordained minister. He's almost became a monk. He's open to all ideas. Very cool, Dave. So have we talked about? Gosh, my brain. I'm not going to embarrass myself. Oh, man. Okay. Have we talked about it before, David? Have we talked about your character? I'd love to talk about your character. Like my character is like his power set is kind of just Captain America. He's strong, he's smart, he's fast, and it's all because of a government experiment kind of thing. But his personality is more Peter Parker. So I tell people that Alpha Red is Peter Parker as Captain America on a James Bond adventure. So that usually gets their attention. True Peter Parker, Spider-Man, kissing Kitty Pryde. Oh. Well, I got to do this here, Mr. Anti-Idiotic. Thank you for popping in. I'm working on a commission here, and so maybe I'll take requests on another draw stream. But this one, I want to combine like commissions and just kind of talking about some of the geek culture that I'm enjoying, as well as just answering any questions about my comic book Alpha Red, if anybody has picked it up, and if anybody is interested in hearing about the next issue. If you guys want to see, I want to reward anybody who's here. These are the first couple of pages of Alpha Red number 6. Starts off with a small flashback of the end of the last issue in scenes that we don't see. This is issue number 2, page 2. I just finished page 3 on Thursday, and then I'm working on page 4 right there. So you guys get the sneak peek because you're here and you're checking out the video. Spider-Man kissing Kitty Pryde. Faith-based character, Alpha Red. Yes, he's there's faith-based elements. I'm not heavy-handed with it. I am a Christian, so it just makes sense to me to write stories where that has an element in there. I think there's people who would just like to see good comics, just not a lot of swearing and that kind of stuff. And so mine is a family-friendly comic that you can share with your kids. That's a big priority for me, is to create something that I can share with my kids and that you can share with your kids. So, all right. So when you build up the colors of the gray tones here, because it's not on the computer. If you're on the computer, I think it's cool to start off darker and work your way lighter, but that doesn't really work with the Copic markers. And I just refilled my Copic markers, so I was not ready for it to jump out like that. Show art. Ink's right. Mine is faith-based a bit. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Christian, or if your faith is important to you, then why not add it? Why not write what you know? Or at least include what you know. Not be afraid of it. I mean, I just want to create comics that I can be proud of, that I can share with all my friends, and most of my friends go to church, so I'm not ashamed to include that in my storyline. So what is the story, your story, David? What's the name of your comic? And have you made your way all the way through X-Men 97? I forgot to ask you that. And I was a fan of Gambit from the comics, and I loved how they portrayed him in the cartoon. It was just so... I liked how they did almost all the characters, honestly. They were just so respectful of the characters and how I remembered them from the 90s. So, let me see. Mine's faith-based a bit. So do you have like a website, David? I'd love to check out your comic. Are you currently working on it? Was it something that you did and you're not working on it anymore? What's the status? Be very interested. So when I do these covers, and I'm not trying to try something new. I keep the light source from the top straight down. It's just an easy thing for me to remember, so that I'm not thinking too much about what it needs to be. Is this 30? Why is this not working here? I just filled these up before we started, and I didn't think it was going to give me any problems. Maybe I filled it up with the wrong thing. That would be tragic. Let me see. Can't say name yet, but I've drawn some of it at X-Men 97, the whole season. Awesome. but I will share with you soon. I've been working on teaching and other business, like how you went into politics. Very cool. Yeah. So hopefully your teaching endeavor works out better than my politicking endeavor. And once you're in, this is what I am finding. Once you dive into it, people want you to stay in it. And I gotta say, it's tempting, but right now, there's just no time. I'm having fun creating Alpha Red, and I don't know. I know that I don't know enough about a lot of things. So I want to learn more. I wish there were people who are willing to just kind of teach you and walk you through politics, but it is a very eat or be eaten sport, and boy, I got ate up and spit out. Yep, gotta hustle. Just about done teaching. 2 years is more than enough. What level are you teaching, Dave? I would be curious. So my wife homeschools, so we're not huge fans of institutional teaching. We have great friends who are great teachers, so we don't want to hate on that. But what we have seen with having our kids at home and really just being able to pour into them and answering all their questions, letting them be curious about certain subjects and just kind of diving in and seeing them light up and really be curious about the world and how the world works, just kind of leaves us wanting when we look at institutionalized learning, government school kind of teaching. And I was assuming that maybe you're teaching art, but maybe not. Maybe I am misguessing. Let me see if I'm missing anybody else there. Mr. Anti-Idiotic, is that the only other person? All right. Okay. Homeschooling's great. Thank you. Ages 7 through 18. Wow, that's so is it art? I mean, I don't know what other subjects could kind of encompass that age range. Yeah. Okay. Good. So, do you find that because your vocation has something to do with art, that it's harder to dive into your personal art interests when you get home, or does it keep you more interested? Because I know friends who work as commercial artists, and they say they struggle to work on their comic book art when they come home because, they've been doing art all day. And so it's very hard for them to get much done. I got a stink bug in the room with me. I don't know if you guys can hear the stink bug. I also have the air conditioner going. Is that problematic? Can you hear? Does that bother you? It is warm in my office. I'm in the attic. So Yeah, that's what my friends say. You're like creatively exhausted. You're just like, you're not even, you don't really care. It's hard to just maintain the excitement for your project, is what they tell me. And so they kind of had to fight the, not the writer's, not art block, but whatever the, you gotta push past the lack of desire or whatever, the fatigue, the creative fatigue that comes with working a job that is already creative. So, all right, I'm just gonna kick it up a notch. You're gonna notice when I get to these darker colors, things start to jump out, and that's the really cool part. So artwork is really visuals are only interesting when they contrast, is what I have found. I don't know if that's a rule, but if it doesn't contrast and nothing sticks out, then it's just kind of boring. So whenever I start adding some of these darker colors is when it's just going to pop out. So I tried to get into marble, do milestone. Got close at first, nice. Definitely going to get a few of your books. No, I appreciate that, Dave. I appreciate the support, for sure. Yeah, that's what I really wanted to do. I thought that's what I wanted to do, was break into Marvel and DC. I was more of a Marvel guy, honestly, because of Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and all those early Marvel guys. And so I always geared my samples and my artwork towards Marvel. I do have some DC samples, and I feel like I've gotten close before, but never any real bites. I mean, I was talking to editors, and they seemed pretty interested, but at that time I was working so many hours, I just could not continue to send them more samples. And I know that if I had the time, I would have been able to get in just out of sheer right place, right time, right editor. That opportunity seemed like it was just around the corner, but it was just not. I was just not able to put in the time, and I didn't work at home like I do now. I was working in trucking, so that was definitely not easy to sit and draw when you come home after being out on the dock. But now I work in an air-conditioned office, and it's hard to concentrate on my regular work because I'm always thinking about Alpha Red, and I'm thinking about drawing, but no, I'm happy doing what I do, so I don't mind concentrating on real work and saving this kind of stuff for after work. Marble, yeah, we did take out what I was told. Yeah, that's it's kind of it's like that, isn't it? Like, it's who you know, and I don't know if it's a comfort level that editors have. They want the dependability or whatever. But that just kind of goes with almost any any industry, any kind of work, is that you stick with who you're comfortable with. So you just gotta network. That's what I was told. Just network. And I got to meet a lot of industry professionals, and a lot of them came to my house. We had a drink and draw way back when, and there was a Marvel artist who came over, a DC artist, and we were all, there was a bunch of us who were not in comics, and we were like, how do we get in? What did you do that got you in? And they shared with us some of their tips. And, they were right place, right time, but they were also everywhere. It was Koi Fam was one of the artists who came over to my house, and he told us that, he was traveling to comic book conventions, and he would, it was like a big frat thing. Like, you had to drink with the editors, and they had to feel comfortable with you. That's how you got in. I mean, he's a good artist too, so I don't want to take away from that. You got to be talented. You got to be good enough. And he said the other thing was, you got to draw like someone who's hot, whose art is hot at the time. So he was told that his art kind of looked like Steve McNiven, and so he leaned hard into a Steve McNiven look. And I don't know if you know who Steve McNiven is, and if you the stink bug finally. All right, sorry about that. The stink bug finally came close enough that I can put him in this little tissue. Hopefully he doesn't stink up the place while I do this. So yeah, that was Koi's advice for us, was to draw like someone who's popular, and because that helped the editor sell more books. And I didn't think his stuff looked like Steve McNiven, and he admitted that he didn't think his stuff looked like Steve McNiven, but the editor thought his stuff looked like Steve McNiven. So that's all that mattered, apparently. Yeah. So there was a time where Steve McNiven was like, I really, really dug his art. So I don't knock him at all. I don't think he's as good as he used to be honest with you. I know certain artists, like, they used to be better. I hate saying that. And I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if you get older and your eyes get weak and your hands don't do what they used to be able to do, or your eyes, or I don't know. But Steve McNiven's art currently is, in my opinion, when I see his artwork, is not as powerful as it was. I remember him doing some Captain America, some Spider-Man, written by Brian Michael Bendis, and some of that stuff was just like amazing. Just top-notch stuff. All right, what are you guys thinking so far? So what is your art like, Dave? Who would you say influences you? Jim Lee? I assume. So many of us who started collecting comics in the early 90s just point right to Jim Lee and say, yep, his style is the biggest influence. And you can see that everywhere. And I used to watch that cartoonist kayfabe when the guy who committed suicide there, Ed Piskar. But his channel, I loved it when they would dissect the artists of the era, and they would tell you who those guys were trying to copy off of, because everybody was trying to copy off of Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, and even Mark Silvestri went through a Jim Lee phase. No matter how popular he was before Jim Lee came along and became popular. I said, dude, doing your own style. Yeah. His early works, yes. Yeah, Mike Golden, for sure. Kirby, Walt Simonson, Jason Pearson. Yeah. Jason Pearson was awesome, man. Such a bold style. Yeah. Yeah, I hear he passed away here like a year and a half, 2 years ago. That was, it's heartbreaking to hear some of these guys that I used to love their artwork are passed away. It's like crazy to me. Just a sign of us getting older, I guess. Everybody you know starts passing away. You start looking at the obituaries. I know my in-laws, my wife's parents, are obsessed. But they seem too young, especially Jason Pearson. My goodness. He's got to be early 50s. Should have been, anyways. Yeah. That was a tough one. There's a lot of guys. That Korean guy who used to draw, like, he would start with the pinky toe and draw like a whole city scene, like horses and buggies, and I'm like, what in the world? I forget his name, but he was awesome. Let's see here. Pop in here. So I hold my breath, Dave. I don't know if you do this at any point when you're drawing, but like I'll hold my breath when I'm inking like a big long smooth line that I gotta keep straight. I just hold my breath because I swear if I breathe the line will go crooked. Yeah, Kim Jong-jung or something like that, yeah. Also in his 50s. It's just crazy. I'm just like, what in the world? Alright, I'm almost ready to go back in with some final inks to really add that final pop of the blackness of his of all the shading here. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go that. And yep. We're gonna keep that. Let's go. Let's do that. So Dave, you said you pretty much have your own style. Do you do a lot of rendering, a lot of cross hatching? Is that part of your style, or do you have like a more open style where you use colors and tones to kind of fill in some of that, add the form and stuff? I notice a lot of newer art leans a lot on the colors, and I'm a hit or miss with that. Like I like the lines from the 90s, the rendering, the cross hatching and stuff. But I can certainly appreciate the manga stuff with the subtlety of the colors. It's pretty cool. All right, I think I'm ready to go in here with some of these. With some final inks here. All right, so are you a fan of the brush pen, Dave? Because like I love the line weights and the quality it brings, but like you do it, you press down just too hard, and you're sunk. Like, oh no, big fat line. You're like, no, I meant for it to be skinny. So yeah, when you're doing brush pens, see, that's like a little much for me. Just gotta keep it big and fat like that. And I'll come in here with the pen, with the regular Micron pen, and really make it look more mechanical, like I like. But I do like these Micron brush pens. I didn't think I would, and I didn't even know that Micron made a brush pen, but it is very, like, I have a lot of brush pens, and some are controlled. Like, it'll only go so fat, but this thing goes pretty fat, pretty fast. Yeah, I'm just kind of just starting to appreciate the Micron brush pen. I usually use what they call the brand is Zebra, that I get from jetpens.com. But I have a pretty good art store called The Art Store where I live. So I am pretty fortunate. Pretty fortunate that I get to kind of dabble with some of this stuff and get some pretty good choices in art supplies. Gotta get underneath his chin here, because that'll make it pop. See what I mean? I'm holding my breath. Don't mess up, don't mess up. Doesn't make for good videos, but I don't want my customer to end up with a bad drawing, so I hold my breath. That's an 8. I'm looking for a 5. Here we go with 5. Whoop. So you use a brush pens, and Micron. Okay. Yeah, Micron is, I have a love-hate with the Microns, and I know that people hate on the Microns, but, it is what it is. You can't, quality's there, the consistency. They're a little on the expensive side, but you know, they're more dependable than some pens. You pencil, ink, in color? I do not color. I mean, I can. I have. I'm not great, so I pay somebody to do digital colors on Alpha Red. I have done some colors for Alpha Red. It's just not the same. For issues 2, 3, and 4, I had a guy by the name of Ross Hughes coloring Alpha Red, and he was like part of a studio that colored for DC Comics, and man, was he good. He was expensive. I don't know. I don't want to say he was expensive because I'm coming across more expensive colors, but he was definitely more than the $35, $40, $5 colors that you can get from, you know, the Philippines or somewhere. That's coming together. What do you think? Art Adams and Frank Cho use micron. Oh yeah. Hey, you can't argue with that success. Cannot argue with some Art Adams. Is Frank Cho coming back? Like Frank Cho, I think like they tried to cancel him because of his women. Like, I don't know, 10 years ago, felt like they were like after him, and he kind of went away. But I want to say in the recent past here, I'm seeing his name pop back up in pockets. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, it's when the contrast comes in, the darker colors come in, and yeah, with a commission sketch cover, I try to spend about an hour and a half on it max, just because it's not meant to be like a finished work. At least that's what I charge for. I charge for about an hour and 45 minutes, hour and a half worth of my time, and hopefully I can give the customer something that they can enjoy. All right, it is 9 o'clock, Dave, and I appreciate you sticking around with me. I'm gonna end the live stream. I'll still be drawing, but I'll post this. I'll post this here in the next. I'll probably finish it up tonight, honestly, and I'll post it. So you should see the finished product on the interwebs somewhere. But I want to keep it to an hour so that people don't feel like they're stuck watching me for too long. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me so long, man. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one. You gotta keep me in the loop with your project. I'd love to see it, love to promote it, and get some eyeballs on it. I love that it's got some faith-based elements. I don't know if you watched some of my other videos, but it was very well received in the homeschool spot. Just because I am intentional about making it a family-friendly comic, and people just kind of lit up when I said, "Hey, there's no swearing, no sexual content, and no gore," and they were just throwing money at me. So So it's a profitable endeavor if you choose to go the family friendly route. I know we all have more adult tastes, but all right, brother, we shall see you soon. I'm going to play the outro, but Grace, peace. Thanks for hanging out.